Welcome in, guys, to our weekly Supercoach update, the buy, hold, risk it, and sell. I'm going to go through each of the players, especially all the scores from last week, and let you know if I think they're a buy, a hold, a risk it, or a sell. So risk it play, guys, is that they could go bonkers or they could absolutely flop and lose their spot next week. So that's that type of play. Buys are the clear buys, and obviously you can work out the holds and the sells. But let's start with the Tigers, and then we're going to go through position by position, and I hope this format is great for you guys. So Olam doesn't play this week here. So yeah, make sure you don't select him, carrying a knee issue, it seems like. So you do have Fa'atape, who ends up going into this spot, but it does sound like Olam is going to be just out for the week. So with Solomona, avoid him at this point. He's a little bit down the list here. Guys like Bateman, I think you can watch them to start. Obviously here, they're not going to be changing in price anytime soon. So that's the big thing with the Tigers. So round 4 is when they're kind of going to be clear options. And we'll see how things play out as well, obviously, in that one. But I do think Bateman is a little bit undervalued and will be an option at some point. Very interested to see how Buller starts out. But obviously it all depends on the Tigers, I think, as to if he can be upwards of a 700k plus gun. So avoid him for now. You got Samuela Fainu there with 263 off the bench. We want to see his bench minutes to kick things off. Galvin, if you started with him, happy days. I think at the moment you can watch him coming into this week and see what happens longer term. If he keeps the starting spot, then you can trade him in either next week or the week after. Very clearly there. Abby Coruscant, if you started with him again, well done. Hopefully he's goal kicking for you and hopefully he plays big minutes. With Caesar on the bench, I think that helps his opportunity and chances to play big minutes at that. Isaiah Papali'i, I think, is undervalued as well, guys, at 568. So much cheaper than he was when he was a top tier 2RF gun. I do think you can watch him though, but if you do want to just take the plunge early, he would probably be the guy in this team that I would look to go for, as he has a really high upside into the sort of the 70s and 80s, right? This is where he's been at, a couple 100k undervalued compared to his best seasons. Alex Seyfarth is one to potentially look at 326k, but I do think you can have a watch on him as well. If you started with him, I hope he goes well for you. Lower down the list, there's really not too much else. As I said, a Solomona Fa'atape at 204k. So if there's an injury in the centers, he could be the guy to keep that spot. That's for sure. But that's where we'll leave it with the Tigers, and we'll go straight to the hooking position. And pretty fun up top, obviously. You've got Jacob Little there with a 71. He did get a line break and a try assist in this one at 458k. If you are completely short of a hooker, he's definitely one you could look to. I also do think that Brandon Smith could be the play in this one. Obviously at 471k, he's someone to look at, given he scored the 48, and I think that probably has a couple more minutes in there, and I think Little might have a few less minutes. So Smith, Little, about that sort of 60 minutes is where I'd expect them. Little that little bit cheaper. No pun intended, but yeah, him at 458 definitely could go for worse options, and he has that attacking upside, which is really cool. So out of all the hookers this week, he's the guy to look at, along with Brandon Smith, obviously there. And then Reece Robson was probably the other one to have a look at 561k. He did a great job. Got a try assist as well, similar to that with Damien Cook, and the reason why they both scored really well. Robson, you get at a cheaper price point, you get him all the way to around 13 at least, before they have their first buy or he makes Origin or however that works, right? So they're the two guys to look at. Obviously Harry Graham with a tougher start. I think you can hold off on him until a little bit later. Danny Levi, if you started with Malisen or something like that, then maybe Danny's the play, but I think you could also just hold for a week. Wade Egan, guys, with his elbow issue, he has been named, and I really don't think that he's going to play, but he could be a guy that you do pivot from, for sure. And yeah, Freddie Lussick's in there at 303k. I just don't see him being a good sort of attacking option. He'll get some base. He might average about 40, but outside of that, he'll only make a tiny bit of cash, and it's probably not the play in this one. I suppose the big news here was Joey Lussick, guys, and he scored 61 at 313k. He's also a decent answer to any of your hooker troubles, given he got in the mid-60s minutes for the Eels. So he's it's very hard to give any of these hookers a sort of a buy signal. There's definitely some risk it involved in Lussick. Robson could be like a clear buy. He looked better, but again, do you want to be changing your hookers in 1 week? There was no big injuries to any of these guys apart from Wade Egan, so I'd have Egan as a sell. And then guys like Damien Cook, hold/buy range, like you know what you're going to get from Damien. I think Marshall King ended up with a try assist, which was nice. His 53 is a hold. Reed Money of 51 is a hold as well. Same to that with Harry Grant, and Smithy, as I said, is a potential purchase as well this week. And the rest can stay as holds, really. There's no real absolutely shocking performances from anyone that was relevant. So that is the hooking position, and we will leave it at that. And move on to the front row forwards, which is a very, very tough position, obviously, heading into this week. And your a couple of your best scorers of the week were interesting ones, in obviously Josh Kerr at 76. I think that he is not a purchase in this current week. I think you'd leave him out at this point. Definitely not a sell on that front, but hold if you do own him. Flegler is a pretty solid buy. I do believe so. You've got like guys like Terrell May, who scored 64, is probably like the highest on the list just on the price alone. Flegler has the buy next week, so he's a pretty good purchase of that. You know he's going to make a little bit of cash now. He's got a try in his rolling average. But again, all these scores that just are going to fall out of their rolling average first, but given they were the first one there. So you want some good scores in this next 2 or 3 weeks, and that's when they make a truckload of cash. But Adam Fanua-Blake at 740 had an awesome week, guys. And this is what we expect from him when he scores tries. It won't happen every week. Maybe it doesn't happen against Melbourne and he goes back down to earth. I'm not sure where you can find the 740 to get him, but it does seem like he's going to have a really good year again. Probably averages out the same and stays at the same price overall. Flegler is a good buy this week if you can cover next week. So if you started with like Hughes and Henry like myself, or you have another solid option, then maybe you can get away with it next week and play one of those guys. That's where you need to look at with Flegler. Do you have enough cover or someone that you could trust to get a 30-odd? Hopefully some more if they were to gain some extra minutes in round 3. So look at that. Payne Haas didn't hurt anyone that didn't own him. I think he's a clear hold, obviously. Tino, same thing. He's a hold. If you bought him in round 1, you bought him for a reason, and he will score tries in games where they actually play a bit better. Terrell May is a buy. I do think it's anywhere between 40 and 55 minutes for him on a regular basis, and that's 50 points. You'd imagine there at a minimum in the lower minutes, and if he can happen to get some attacking stats outside of that, even better. Guys, and here Joe Taps, just a clear hold, not a buy at this point. Jensen as well. I don't think you can buy him off the basis of those big minutes that he got, but I think he'll be a 45 to 50 scorer most weeks with about 45 to 50 minutes. So it's still fairly close to the minutes he got. He'll make money. Probably hard to buy now. I do think that if you don't want to go for Flegler, Jensen is the 3rd best option. Terrell May, Flegler, and then Corey Jensen at this point, but expect closer to 50 rather than a 57. Barnett, all these guys here are well and truly holds that all scored well in sort of the high 40s to 50. Ruben Cotter, I think, is a hold there. The minutes that he got, the amount of points, or 61 points in that game, 43 to 18. Pretty crazy, right? So I think Cotter will get into the 50s. Similar to that with Max King. Both minutes were a little bit low. King's were super low at 42. Expect him to bounce back and have some good mins there. Similar to that with Cotter, both holds at that. Moving down the line, someone like Jack DeBellin, I think, is probably more on the sell side. It didn't look great for him minutes-wise. He doesn't look the same player, unfortunately, there. So DeBellin is one I'd be looking to sell. You could go downgrade. If you didn't have any other fires and you had him in your front row forward, I think he's more in that range. I don't see the big minutes and the big scores from him at that really high price at 582. I think you can do better in other ways. Jairo, a sell. Whatever the injury is, I'm sorry to hear it from him, but he's going to be out. Unfortunately, Tavir Totola, I've got him in my side, and I think he's a hold this week. I'm not too excited on the forward rotation that's going to happen in that team, but surely like an injury to the side with Arrow can't mean worse things for Totola. And they had like 60 points in their game, so as well, similar to that with Cotter, expect Totola to jump back into the 40s this week and be fine, and then I think we'll reassess in round 3. Liam Henry, I think he's going to get good minutes in this team, even with Sorensen coming back. Garner moved back onto the bench. Eisenhuth came out of the team, so still expect Henry to be somewhere near the 30 minutes and be a good purchase either this week or in round 3. Matiotta as well, guys, 35, but just be aware of obviously Horsburgh and the like there, so I think you hold off on him. Spencer Lenu, a clear sell. this week, being out for 8 weeks. William Fafita out of the team this week. I think you hold. And then Jason Taumalolo is a clear sell in this one. You've got the options that I mentioned. Same with Royce Hunt, a clear sell. Farmasili, obviously the minutes weren't there. I think at his price you can hold. But if you want to, either this week or next week, you can go straight to a Hughes or a Henry. Would be fine if you did feel like you made that mistake. For the 2RF, so another interesting position given all of our mid-range guys didn't score too well. Cartwright up top, I think you can buy him for sure if you wanted to. He looks like he's taken a step up. If you want his good scoring and potentially some price gains into the 700 range after this next couple of weeks. He does have Penrith though this week, and I doubt that he goes bonkers in that. So a buy with caution. Olakau'atu looked awesome as well. It's just, again, these two guys, with Olakau'atu and Cartwright, very, very expensive, and it's hard to get to from these mid-ranges. So, yeah, it's difficult to actually go for one of them. But in the buy category, for sure, both looked awesome. Will have their down weeks for sure. But, again, it's a very luxury type of buy. Someone who's a bit more of an immediate buy would be Zach Hosking. I think that you're getting a few weeks out of him. He'll make some cash. He might score a try against the Tigers this week as well. We'll have to see what happens on that. But at 5'11", he's a little bit more pressing than someone like Raymond Faitala-Mariner, who is on the bench this week. And you've got Luciano Leilua on there as well. It's very hard to sort of predict the minutes of this Dragons pack. So he's probably a wait and see this week and then make a decision on him the following week. Where I think Hosking, you can go for it this week and see what happens with him. Nanai, obviously a really good week for him. Try assist and a try, I believe, or close to it. Ran the footy well. Looks like he's in good nick, so he's definitely someone to put on the watch list. Victor Radley scored a try. I don't think he's a clear option. Trbojevic, I think you make sure you get him. I don't see Schuster coming back and taking minutes off him. If you want to wait till next week, that's fine too. Guys like Eli Katoa, awesome purchase if you're looking at him at 656, but the buy in round 4 now, I think you had to start with him. Otherwise, just wait and see. Lukey, I think this week you can watch him for one more if you don't own him, and then potentially buy. That's probably where I'm at with him. Matto, the minutes, I think you hold, but it's a reluctant hold for sure. Had to get a try assist to get those good points. Hopgood, you're clearly holding. Eisenhuth, as I said, I think you can wait one more week and then make a decision on him. He's starting at the moment, but we'll see if that changes come game day. They had a few changes last week. They've got Laurie back. They've got Harm Sele still in the reserve. So a lot to come out of that one for Eisenhuth. He should be definitely one to look at, but probably next week. Morgan Smithies, I think you can go 1 week early now if you want to. I think you'll get some decent points out of him here. But again, we'll get to the other guys in a second as to if they're going to be sells or not. But yeah, that's that. With Smithies solid, Murray solid as well. He's a hold. Nickera, McInnes, both hold as well. Josh Curran, closer to the buy side. I think it is a risk it play. Just, is he going to get 65 minutes that he got in the weekend? He'll get some attacking stats in that somewhere. So I think he's a solid buy without being spectacular. A bit more on the risk it side. You've got Lucas out this week. I think you can sell him. Minutes, are they going to be there a huge amount of minutes long term? I'm not sure. So yeah, him being out this week, HIA it was for him. A bit more on the sell side if you wanted to for one of the cheaper options, or go to Hosking or something like that. He's fine. As we said, Cotter Holt. McIntyre, someone interesting, guys. 238k. I think the minutes were a bit inflated for him with Lolo playing less minutes, and also Connor in the 52 range. McIntyre at 47 or something. So beneficiary when Tamalolo ends up with less minutes. And yeah, I think that's where we leave it. At least watch one more week and see what happens with him. Wong, I think, will be fine, guys. So if you have him, you're clearly holding. Injury seems like he's good. I think you can wait a week if you're looking to buy. Kikau, I wasn't excited about at all, so have him on the scary potentially sell list. Kaipis Paul, I think he's on the buy list. Does he get the minutes though next week? So I think he'll score well this week. Potentially can get a meaty against this Cowboys defense if they play solidly. But yeah, I think he's going to be a slower burn just with the minutes as well. So good score this week, but have him, yeah, as a slight worry. All right, Kepi, the Cappuccino, 41 for him. It's just fine. I think you hold him. That's it, and he's definitely not being bought. I think Elliott you can sell at 517. I didn't really like what we saw from him in the trials or in round 1, so he's on the sell list. Both for more. He's on the hold list, in my opinion. If you do need to use his cash to get to someone, then you can. But when he gets 4 and back, it's going to be a different prospect for Bowie. And there's some reports that he was sick during the week and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens with him. We know that he's a much better player than 34. Just in base, he's like a 50 guy and then has upside in the 60s with tries. So yeah, look to hold him in my opinion. So Tilly, I think you can hold as well under 400k. If you want to sell, that's fine. But he could be a guy that is a beneficiary of a try or a try assist in his games. He does score tries regularly on the edge. Finney, you hold there for sure. And then it's really... We didn't speak about Palacia, did we? There he is. We may as well speak about him now. 22 for him. I think he's a pretty clear sell. I didn't rate him in the trials at all, and we didn't rate his minutes playing off the bench in that pack. So he's a sell. If you can get away from him, then that works out well. Templar that we've spoken about. And then it's just really Brendan Pikura. He's a clear hold, guys, at 426. At least one more week. See what happens there. He could score tries this week against that tough South New edge with Talis Duncan there as well, with Tass and with Jacob Gagai. I think he can score a try with Lockie Ellis as well. I think he can score a try down there and score well. So play him this week and see what happens. And that is all for the 2RF. All right, it gets a little bit quicker now with the halves and the 5/8s when we go back up the top. So Ben Hunt was a cracking guy to start with. Not a clear buy. I do think if you started with like a Cleary-Hines combo like myself, then you are holding. And all of these guys are clear holds. I wouldn't be looking, running out to purchase any of these guys, at least until next week. That's probably where I'm at with the whole halfback position. Pezza there at 430. Looks like you might have the spot for a little bit, but he's going to be, just likely a hold. Moses, you can be a little bit worried about. The groin injury is not something to be excited about at all. He's probably the only one that I have on he's kind of the scary list. For sure. Drew Hutchison, I think he's a hold or a sell. That's fine. If you want to just keep him in your center wing, and that's going to work out good enough for you. But if you do need to use someone in that mid 300k, I'm seeing a few questions on that, then Drew could be that guy for sure. And then Trindle, I think, is a hold, comes up against the Dogs this week. And same with Hines and the like as well. Go to 5/8 position here. Lucky Metcalf, my boy, he was the best 5/8 scorer. I didn't even realize that. That's awesome. Happy days on that front. Dearden looked better, guys, as well. So keep an eye out on him. Same with Brooks. And then Flanagan scored a try. Not going to happen every week. Dylan Brown looked good for his 54. Just a bit of a strange one, having to do more of the organising rather than just being able to run. Max Plath, someone to watch this week. And obviously the buy in round 3. So I think you just double clearly watch him and see what happens with him at 13. Ray Stone is out with a head knock this week. But Plath should score well again. Minutes, probably 50, I'd say there. Ethan Stranger holding him. Burton, you probably fire sale Burton for one of these guys up here that I was talking about. The Metcalfs does come up against a couple of tough ones, I think. Obviously Melbourne this week. But Brooksy looks good. Dearden, either of those 3, I think is going to be an awesome play for you. For the centre wings now, just the 2 positions left. Val Holmes looked incredible, and I definitely think he's on the buy list. Same with Lomax. Both looked awesome. Kicking goals. They're the 2 guys that you're looking at here. Obviously, Manu was amazing, but fairly expensive as well. And can he do it on a week-to-week basis? He looked incredible, though, so he definitely could. If you like any of those 3, they can be on the buy list. Zach Labart, the cheapest of the lot, thankfully for me. He is in my squad. Happy days. At 103 last week. Can he do it each week? No. Can any of these guys do it each week? No. But he's the cheapest of the lot and is easier to get to. So he's on the buy list for sure. Talangi looked great as well. But again, they won't put 43 points on every week. There's 3 of the top 5 centre wings on this list right now. Garrick, he won't come up against a very easy outside back pairing in Richie Kenner and the like each week. So I think you can watch on him. Richie Kenner, see what happens this week, whether he gets a 3rd week or not. And if he goes well again, then you could look at him to make some cash. But outside of that, it's a hold on Hammer. Aberhop White, he keeps his spot on the side, so he's a hold. Talakai, again, same thing. Dvojevic, as we said, is a buy. Raps at 70. All solid guys and all holds. Taylor May, a clear buy. He was absolutely incredible. Make sure you get him in. He's owned by 40%. Should be way higher than that. Marzu is a hold. We spoke about Tom. Gagai, don't go early on him. Wait one more week. See if he plays. There's a little bit of chatter around Tane Milne playing on that wing. So we'll see what's happening. Maybe Gags was just carrying a bit of something and resting at training. Sully, Kiraz, all holds. Taintua Picky, potential buy. Do you go this week? If you need a scorer, yeah, probably. If you don't need a scorer, wait till next week and see what happens. Maybe you can get a little price rise out of him. Going down the list, Roger, clear hold, not a buy. Timoko, hold. Bostock, I think you can hold. You can also use him as a sell piece. If you want at 314k, it might be the play I go this week to get a Kaipis Paul. We'll find out. So yeah, him, Drew, Salmon, all guys that you could look to move if you needed one person in the 300s to trade from. Brimson, I think, is a hold. Titans were very, very bad. We spoke about Strange being a hold. Kotrick, you can sell as well if you need him to be that guy. He's, yeah, one away from the team now, so he's not too far off, obviously. And then who else does I have there? Tass, hold. Yep, that's all. And then final position, guys, is the fullbacks. Very excited. Thank you for being here. Let me know if this format was pretty good for you. Obviously, knowing that you can skip through to whichever position you need to go to as well. Fullbacks. All right, I think, you know, like I've got Tommy and Ponga. Ponga, you're clearly holding. That's not a player that you're looking to sell. Drinkwater, you're clearly holding, right? That's all we need to say. There's some guys that did really well. Latrell, obviously, in the top tier. Tommy, Reece Walsh, Tedesco, all did really well in that top tier. And I think that they're clear holds. They're clear holds. But the other guys are clear holds, and these are, I wouldn't be selling them straight to them. If in round 3, some players flop or there's some injuries, then you can do some switch arounds. But right now, I don't think that's the play. In the fullback slot, back you guys in. They've all got, you know, they're all good enough to dominate any type of matchup they get. So just be clear on that one. Pat, you can worry a little bit about him. Like if you got the money, go up to these top guys, just because I think a couple of tough matchups, then the buy, where you know that some of these guys probably at the moment have a bigger ceiling than what Pap does. So we'll leave this video at that, guys. They're all the options heading into round 2. Let me know your thoughts on it, as I said, and let me know your trades in the comments in YouTube. And yeah, can't wait to see how we go in round 2. It's going to be lots of fun. I'll put in my trades tomorrow for Supercoach as well, and the head-to-head and the overall team, which will be fun. And we'll see you in that one.